It is one of the classic indie American movies, Stranger Than Paradise, but great director Jim Jarmusch. Here's why I think this movie's great, why I enjoy it to no end. I could watch this movie 100 times and enjoy it. Coming up next.
I'm leaving. I'm going to Cleveland.
It's a beautiful town. Does Cleveland look a little like Budapest?
Eddie, shut up.
Stranger Than Paradise is an indie cult classic by the classic American director Jim Jarmusch. It's got a very cool looking aesthetic, black and white cinematography. One thing about this movie, in order to really think it's great, is to think it's funny. And the humor in here is deadpan. I think a lot of people will miss the humor. It is not even Coen Brothers-esque, that's more outright and outlandish. There are weird characters, and I think Jarmusch and the Coens share that aesthetic preference for weird-looking or interesting-looking American people and Americana in general, including music and places or settings. But the deadpan humor in here is absolutely fantastic, and it stems from the three characters. Basically, there are three main actors in this who all, I think, are a perfect blend. You have John Lurie playing Willie. There's no last names here, and he's a Hungarian-American. Although he's just an American, according to him, he wants nothing to do with his Hungarian relatives living in the United States, and also with the Hungarian immigrant who's coming over for the first time to the United States. That's Ava, played by Esther Balint, who I just absolutely love this performance. It's so natural. It feels like she walked onto the set from being a Hungarian immigrant, just walked onto the set and played herself. Perfect performance, in my opinion. And she's sort of, for a while, an object of disdain for Willie. Here's my immigrant cousin showing up and staying in my apartment. I don't want her. But then, later on in the movie, an object of desire, weirdly enough, and maybe some hint of sexual attraction there. The third character played in this is Richard Edson's Eddie, the buddy to Willie. They have similar names, and they look very similar. They'd be easy to mix up. Willie and Eddie, essentially, in this movie, deal with Ava for a while, the first act of the movie, in New York City. In the second act of the movie, they go to Ohio. Ava has moved to Cleveland, and she's working at a hot dog stand there. They go to visit her. And then the third act, they go then, all three of them, to Florida. Essentially, this is a what is America movie, three different spots in America, New York, Ohio, and Florida. And then it's a buddy road trip movie, one of those classic American buddy road trip movies. But it's also an immigrant's experience movie, and I think that's where the title comes in, Stranger Than Paradise. Well, as you probably know, the New World, a la America or North America, is often or has been in the historical past compared to Eden or Paradise. And is it? I love this title, Stranger Than Paradise. Well, if America is anything, it's at least stranger or weirder than heaven or paradise. That's so great. A great description of all the characters in this movie and some of the scenarios. And then, of course, Ava is an immigrant coming into a new place. It's the first shot of the movie and some of the final shots. And what's it like for a person to go into a new place? Now, interestingly enough, Willie and Eddie, I don't think they've ever visited Ohio. So in a way, they're outsiders coming into Ohio. Just like Ava is an outsider coming into America. And you have different movements in this movie as the strangers come to a new environment. And Eddie has a fantastic quote about this, which is right here.
Hey, Willie.
What?
You want to stick around much longer here in Cleveland?
Why, you want to go?
I don't know, yeah, kind of. It's funny. You come someplace new and everything looks just the same.
What a great quote, because Eddie and Willie, they're sort of strange guys. I mean, what do they do for a living? They gamble? How do they get money? Where do they work? There's so much left open-ended that we don't know about these characters, and just to imagine them. But a lot of this movie is a bunch of people sitting around talking about nothing, doing nothing. A sort of stylistic aesthetic that comes out later. Actually, a lot of indie cult classics follow this formula. People talking, not a lot of plot.
Yeah, but we're not doing anything. What do you want to do?
I don't know.
This movie has more plot than I think a lot of people give it credit for, and yet most of this movie's interest is generated from characters sitting around, two characters in a box sitting around talking, two weird characters, a classic Jarmusch motif, which he would use in a lot of movies. and works out in a lot of movies. Anyway, some of these "What is America" themes come up, a question that has been around since at least the early 1700s, if not before. What is an American? What is America? Of course, Willie is an American. He's watching football, he's eating TV dinners, and he's having to explain this to his cousin Ava, what all this stuff is. She seems put off by it, and yet she does like this sort of classic hard-edged blues music, which Willie disdains. So it's an interesting contrast between the "What is an American?" Ava might be, in some sense, because she's weirder, and she likes that blues music, and she works at a hot dog stand, more American than Willie and Eddie? I don't know. Think about that.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Aunt Lottie. Don't speak to me in Hungarian, please.
Are you Bela now?
No. I used to be. Call me Willie if you gotta call me something, all right?
Beszélsz magyarul?
Oh, don't speak Hungarian at all. Only English, all right?
And this movie has that classic question of, what is an American? Is it somebody who's divorced from their family, from their ethnicity, from their past, or their ancestral origins, or is it someone who embraces them? And of course, Willie, at least at first, throws off his Hungarian connections, and yet by the middle of the movie, he's pursuing his Hungarian cousin, and he's speaking Hungarian to his aunt. That sets up the end of the movie, which I'm not going to spoil. Roger Ebert said this movie proceeded to its ultimate fatal destination. Like, it all sets itself up for the ending, which I think is hilarious. And yet those themes of should you stay in America or leave, should you become an American or go back to your ancestral past, part of that is Willie's maybe weird sexual attraction to Ava, but part of that is the ending of the movie as well. As far as Jarmusch's aesthetic goes, he's great at shot making. He's not given enough credit as a director with a great eye. The black and white with some of these settings, including when the characters go to the Lake Erie in Ohio, for example, is just wonderfully shot. Jarmusch loves, at least for a while in his early career, fade to black, or here, cut to black transitions. He even has chapter titles, 3 chapter titles, including The New World, 1 Year Later, and Paradise. This movie kind of has a novelistic or short story feel to it. You could write it as such. It's kind of another Kerouac on the road, but in a Jarmuschian twist. In fact, there are dozens of literary references in this movie. Almost none of them are explicit, but a lot of them. The more you know the "What is America" kinds of classic novels and stories, the more you'll understand this movie and kind of get what it's going for. In the end, though, is America exciting or boring? There's a lot of times these characters are playing out maybe the way viewers feel, who could be bored, at least back in the day in 1984, or at other times this indie classic, not moving, not doing anything. I'm sure this movie is accused of being slow. I love its pace, and yet we're not doing anything. Well, that's what the characters in the movie are doing. They're kind of bored, but this movie's pace matches some of the thematic ideas. And if America is stranger than Paradise, that doesn't make it wildly fascinating. It's just stranger than. I think all in all, this movie is as perfect as it could be. You could try to give this as a film school assignment, make a movie about an immigrant coming to the United States as a buddy road trip movie. You could try to make this with more money or different stars or well-known stars. But I think in the end, these 3 people and others in the movie are perfectly cast. There's perfect deadpan humor. And I think this is a 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of 10,000 deal where nobody could do this movie. It couldn't be done better, in my opinion, even if some of the acting is a little off, even if other things seem amateurish. I don't think that's true, but others have accused this movie of that, and yet I think this movie is perfect for what it is and what it's going for, and thus I rate this very highly. It's one of Akira Kurosawa's favorite movies, by the way. Go check out his favorite movie list. So what do you think of Stranger Than Paradise? I think it has a rewatchable charm and is a wonderful looking movie as well. But what do you think of it? Let us know in the comments. Please subscribe to this channel for more great content. Thank you. Have a great day.